Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe it, but we are already through 4 weeks of the NFL season. So let's get into breaking down NFL week number 4, and I will provide the power rankings at the end of the video. So this week kicked off with a huge Thursday night matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. And this game was not close at all, as the Detroit Lions took an early lead and ran away with it. In this game, Jared Goff would look absolutely amazing, as he would complete 19 of 28 for 210 yards and a touchdown. However, the difference in this game was David Montgomery, running back for the Detroit Lions. He had 32 carries for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns, and this was ultimately the difference maker, as the Detroit Lions would beat the Green Bay Packers 34-20. And then we reached the Sunday slate of NFL football, and the first game took place in London between the Atlanta Falcons and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this game was really just weird. The Jaguars got out to a 17-0 lead over the Falcons, and they never looked back due to their star performance by their star quarterback Trevor Lawrence, who threw 23 of 30 for 207 yards and a touchdown. And the Jaguars would pick up a huge victory over the Falcons, as Desmond Ridder looked awful, as he would throw 2 interceptions in this game. And the Jaguars would take advantage, as they would win this game 23-7. Then we finally reached the NFL Sunday 1 o'clock window, and we had a huge AFC matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. And this game started out absolutely crazy, as neither offense could be stopped. And then finally, the Buffalo Bills defense would shut down the Miami Dolphins offense. However, Devon Achane looked amazing as the Miami's leading rusher, as he had 8 carries for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. However, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs outperformed him, as Allen completed 21 of 25 for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns, and Stephon Diggs had 6 catches for 120 yards and 3 touchdowns. And this would ultimately lead the Buffalo Bills to a huge AFC East win by a score of 48-20. And next up, we had a battle of the winless teams, as the Denver Broncos traveled to take on the Chicago Bears. And Chicago looked absolutely amazing early, as they got out to a 21-7 lead. However, things would begin falling apart for the Bears, and Russell Wilson would start playing absolutely amazing, as he completed 21 of 28 passes for 223 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Justin Fields also played pretty good in this game, as he completed 28 of 35 for 335 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game. However, his 1 interception would be costly, as the Denver Broncos would pick up a huge victory over the Bears and move to 1-3, as they'd win this game 31-28. And then we had the Baltimore Ravens traveling to take on the Cleveland Browns. And just an hour before this game, we would get news that Deshaun Watson would not play, as he was injured. So the Cleveland Browns would have to start their rookie quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, or also known as DTR. And in this game, he would look extremely shaky, as he completed 19 of 36 for 121 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And these 3 interceptions would be extremely costly, as Lamar Jackson would take advantage, as he would throw 15 of 19 for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he would also have 2 rushing touchdowns, as he would lead the Ravens to a 28-3 victory. And then we had the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to take on the Tennessee Titans, and oh my gosh, this Bengals offense looks awful. Joe Burrow completed 20 of 30 for 165 yards, but no touchdowns and no interceptions. And honestly, Ryan Tannehill outplayed him, as he completed 18 for 25 for 240 yards and a touchdown, and Derrick Henry would also rush for 122 yards and a touchdown. However, the big story in this game was how awful the Bengals offense played. They did not even score a touchdown. They only scored 3 points, and the Titans would score 27, as the Titans would win this game 27-3. And then we had an absolutely crazy game, as the Los Angeles Rams traveled to take on the Indianapolis Colts. And this game would actually go to overtime, and it was due to the amazing quarterback play by both of these quarterbacks. Matt Stafford would throw 27 of 40 for 319 yards and a touchdown, and Anthony Richardson would only complete 11 of 25 for 200 yards, but he would have 2 touchdowns and also 56 yards rushing and another rushing touchdown. And Richardson would lead a huge game-tying drive to tie the Colts vs. Rams game at 23-23 at the end of regulation. And this game would end up going into overtime, and neither offense could seem to get things going until Puka Nacua took over in the NFL overtime. And the rookie from BYU would end up scoring his first touchdown, and that would be the game-winning touchdown in overtime for the Los Angeles Rams. And then we had a huge NFC matchup, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveled to take on the New Orleans Saints. And in this game, Baker Mayfield looked absolutely amazing, as he completed 25 of 32 for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns. However, there was a little issue here for the Buccaneers, as their star wide receiver Mike Evans would hurt his hamstring. However, I think this is just going to be a minor injury, and he will be back soon. But anyways, the Buccaneers would pick up a huge 26-9 victory over the New Orleans Saints. Next up, we had a huge NFC East matchup, and boy was this a good one, as the Washington Commanders traveled to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Both quarterbacks played alright in this game, and it would be tied 31-31 at the end of regulation. And then in overtime, neither offense could seem to get it going. However, the Eagles would get a late drive, and they would kick a game-winning field goal to beat the Washington Commanders 34-31. Next up, we had another battle of the winless NFL teams as the Minnesota Vikings would travel to take on the Carolina Panthers. And in this game, both quarterbacks looked shaky at times as Kirk Cousins would complete 12 of 19 for 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And Bryce Young would complete 25 of 32 for 204 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. However, he would have a costly fumble that would result in a Minnesota Vikings touchdown. And this was enough for the Vikings to pick up a huge 21-13 victory and finally get a win this NFL season. And the last NFL 1 o'clock game took place between the Steelers and the Texans, and this was just an awful game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett looked awful as he completed 15 of 23 for 114 yards and an interception, and then he would even get injured in this game, and I don't know, it looked like a pretty bad knee injury. And then CJ Stroud would play absolutely amazing for the Texans as he would complete 16 of 30 for 306 yards and 2 touchdowns, and this would ultimately be the difference maker in this game as the Texans would pick up a huge 30-6 victory. And then we reached the late window of NFL Sunday football, and the first game took place between the Raiders and the Chargers. And this NFL game was a bloodbath as Jerry Tillery would absolutely destroy Justin Herbert and start a fight between both teams. And this was honestly the narrative of this game, as this was a hard-fought win for the Los Angeles Chargers. And in this game, Justin Herbert would complete 13 of 24 for 167 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And the rookie Aiden Connell looked pretty good as he completed 24 of 39 for 238 yards and an interception. However, this would not be enough as the Raiders would end up losing to the Chargers 24-17. And then we had the Patriots traveling to take on the Dallas Cowboys, and this game was not close at all. The Cowboys jumped out to a 28-3 first half lead and never looked back as Dak Prescott threw 28 of 34 for 261 yards and 1 touchdown in this game. And Mac Jones looked awful as he threw 12 for 21 of 150 yards and 2 interceptions with 0 touchdowns. And honestly, the Patriots looked awful as their offense would only put up 3 points and would not score a touchdown, as the Cowboys defense would play amazing and the Cowboys would end up winning this game 38-3. And the final game of Sunday football before Sunday Night Football took place between the Arizona Cardinals and the 49ers. And in this game, Christian McCaffrey took over as he scored 4 touchdowns in this game and ultimately led the 49ers to victory. In this game, McCaffrey would have 20 rushes for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, and then would have a receiving touchdown too. However, Brock Purdy would throw 20 of 21, an insane stat line of 283 yards and a touchdown, while Joshua Dobbs would complete 28 of 41 for 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in this game. And the Cardinals would end up losing 16-35 to the 49ers. And the final game took place between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New York Jets, and this game was actually much closer than we all expected. Kansas City would get out to a 17-0 lead, however the New York Jets would come storming back. And in this game, Zach Wilson actually looked very impressive as he completed 28 of 39 for 245 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, while Patrick Mahomes only completed 18 of 30 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. However, the difference in this game was the Kansas City running attack led by Isaiah Pacheco, who had 115 yards and a touchdown, and would lead the Chiefs to a 23-20 victory. And the power rankings have been released by ESPN, and the Buffalo Bills move up to number 1, while the Miami Dolphins move up to number 2, the 49ers move up to 3, the Chiefs fall from 3 to 4, the Cowboys fall 4 spots, the Cleveland Browns fall 4 spots, the Rams climb 7 spots, the Bengals drops 6 spots, the Buccaneers climb 6 spots, the Titans climb 5 spots, the Houston Texans climb 8 spots, the Denver Broncos drop 9 spots, and currently right now the Carolina Panthers are the worst team in the NFL and the Buffalo Bills are the best.